It's the man behind the curtain, baby. With your
Alex and Umi.
let's get to it, baby.
Woo! That's right, baby.
Let's get to it.
Let's strap on the headphones and let's get right into it, man.
Let's do it.
This is another episode of The Mind Behind the
Curtain.
And we have a very sensitive topic that we want to talk about in this episode. So be advised.
Oh, some definite feelings and emotions already running through me. Hence, I suggested the sort of ambient energy of these candles and this beautiful seashell, because I think they're representing peace and love and just harmony, something that the world needs more of, and something that we're going to talk about because we're going to talk about
guns in America. Yeah.
And North America, we can just say North America, and the laws and how it affects us and what we think. Because recently, in March 22nd, in America, they had another tragic shooting, yet another, in Boulder, Colorado.
That's right.
And a gentleman went into a store, grocery store, and killed 11 people. Right. And they shot him in the leg, and he's facing charges, and it's just another example of just this insane gun law and what they seem to tolerate in America and North America and Mexico. I actually don't know about the laws in Mexico. I know that Canada is similar to America. You can get a gun pretty easy, and I feel like I'm just not a gun guy. I don't think that I don't have a problem with you having a gun if you want to go hunting. There's certain guns that just right away they're okay. Mm-hmm. They seem to sort of fall in line with the NRA's stance on I have the right to bear arms and to protect myself and to hunt. So be it. But when you're talking about semi-automatic weapons with no business in nature and no business defending your home, then I have a problem with you owning that gun.
Right. I totally agree. Obviously I'm not very well informed, or I don't have the knowledge that I should have when it comes to
me neither.
Gun control.
I agree with you.
And gun laws and all this stuff. But I guess in the past, I would say in the past 25 years, there's been a lot of shootings, in America.
We just celebrated. I can't believe I just
20 years,
said
right?
That.
Well,
we are just recognizing the 20-year respect of Columbine.
That's right. Columbine was a huge one, man.
It was one of those eye openers that sort of said to us that the world has changed.
Could happen. Yeah, these things could happen, and in a high school. And then there was the guy that opened up
Batman. That one,
the guy that shot the first graders, and 20 first graders were dead. Obviously, most of these shootings that we're going to talk about have happened in America. But going back to what Umi was saying about should we have the right to bear arms, and obviously throughout history we have history of us protecting ourselves, and you go back into the Western era, where everybody walked around with a gun, and rarely anybody fucked with you because
I believe in Texas you can still walk around with your gun,
and that's what I was going to say. Bring it
holstered,
fast forward to present
on
time.
your hip, and if you have a permit, you're good to go, sir.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
here, what I understand is that you can have a permit here in Canada. You can have a permit, but you can only transport your weapon from point A to point B
in a locked box, I believe.
In a locked box in your trunk.
In your trunk,
yeah. You can't be carrying it on you.
No.
Trudeau also during the pandemic passed a law where he wanted to get rid of semi-automatic weapons or assault rifles and stuff like that. Which a lot of people disagree with that. I agree. Get rid of those semi-automatics and all that stuff. We don't need it, man. Like, we don't need to arm ourselves to the T with semi-automatics and machine guns, and I get it though. I get how people are fascinated by the power of holding a gun, because I've gone shooting. I've gone to the range.
And we both work in the film industry where we've had the luxury we've considered at the time to fire weapons on set and to fire weapons in film and television, and we use quarter loads, and if you're maybe lucky, half load if you're not in city ordnance range, because firing a weapon is loud, especially semi-automatic weapons. And it's exhilarating. I agree with you. I've gone to the gun range a couple times, which is a more controlled environment.
Yes.
And again, it's very exhilarating and intoxicating.
And I like how in the gun range they don't let you, they don't have semi-automatic or fully automatic weapons like you can fire.
You can follow. There's some.
Is there for full automatic? Maybe semi-automatic, but full automatic. So. Well, the gun range that I've been to, it's all single shot. You know, they don't let you go into like semi-automatic or full automatic. It's all singles. Again, I don't know the laws. I don't know the rules. I don't know. I should know, but I'm all for educating people on knowing that these weapons are very harmful weapons, man, and they're very powerful. I took my nephews, and I want to go into this little short story. The reason why I took my nephews to the gun range is not for them to, feel powerful or to boost their ego, or they can boast around their friends saying that they fire weapons. Mm-hmm. It was strictly for me to tell them, look, we're gonna go have fun. Don't get me wrong, we're gonna have fun. You're gonna have an exhilarating time shooting these guns. But what I want you to come out of this experience is knowing how much damage just a 22 can do. You know what I mean?
How dangerous these weapons are.
How dangerous these weapons are, man. And they fire 22s, they fire 45s, they fire like 9 millimeters.
45, that's
bro.
Gun.
And when they fired a shotgun and they saw their target, I go, now imagine if somebody opens that up on you, on a body.
Right.
And they were like, wow, respect.
It's I'm not going to lie. You started your story and I was like, I don't know if you should tell the story right now. But then I let you finish, and then I realized how much, culturally speaking, this is a big part of a lot of people's lives. Yeah. We have a friend who I will not name, a big family that we know, and they're all avid hunters. Yeah. And these are some of the most educated, nice people that make me think that gun laws are okay. Yeah. That have a weapon is okay. And I know my family and I know myself have gone to the gun range.
Yeah, of course.
And some people like to compete.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to say that I want to take these things away from these people and crack down on gun law. Yeah. Because they're using it designed ideally for what the right to bear arms kind of means, and the reason for this is the example of people doing it right. But you said educate people, and here's the problem. You can tell somebody the rules and guidelines, and they can say okay, and they can sign off, and then they get a permit, and then they get a gun. I'm not sure, like you said, basically need a high school diploma. Mm-hmm. And in some states, I'm sure you don't even need a high school diploma. You just have to qualify. You have to have a clean record, no criminal past, yada, yada, yada. And you can get, like, they go into Walmart, they go into these stores and fill it out to somebody who, again, you say educate. How can we educate these people when a lot of them, the majority of them, don't have an education? Yeah,
well, you're talking about, I think what you're referring is to people in America, people in the United States. And I'm thinking, here in Canada, you can't walk into a Walmart and buy a gun, bro. Like, you can probably go down to, what do you call it? That place.
We cannot walk into it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so the difference between here and America is that here, we are educated differently, slightly different.
Right. Yeah.
And
but I still think it's probably easier than it should be, is what I'm saying.
It's really easy to get a gun anywhere as long as you have a permit. That's
as long as you qualify, you get the gun.
As long as you qualify. But obviously in the States it's much easier. There's more population, there's more people, there's more stores, there's it's a country that has a history of violence. We work in the film industry.
Let's take 1 second. Punch it in right now. Are there any states that do not require a police background check in America to get a gun?
Right.
Do you think there is?
I don't know, man.
I think it is. I think that's the problem. I think that you don't even have to have a police background check to get a gun in some states in America.
Well, that's the other thing that we can look up and talk about. But let's stay on track.
Sorry. Yep.
Let's talk about the education process of teaching our youth and the new generation that real life is not like the movies. We work in movies and we know what sells. We know that the gun shooting and the explosions and all that. I mean, I love seeing all that. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to go out there and imitate these things.
There's those video games made those kids go crazy.
But that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of people that imitate these movies and these video games, and they actually go out there and kill people and shoot up people. Now, that being said, there's many factors and reasons why they do this. Many reasons. I mean, they could be bullied or whatever, but at the end of the day is how parents or their uncles, their aunts, whatever, the family teaches these kids that it's not the right thing to do. You know what I mean? Enjoy it objectively and watch movies and all that, but don't go and grab a gun or even any weapon or a knife and go and seek revenge on somebody that hurt you or whatever and go kill them, because we don't know the factors, we don't know the reasons some of these kids go and do this. What I mean?
But those people are going to exist no matter what.
Yeah.
And the only issue that we're really saying right here is how easy it is to not identify these people, and how across the board it's easy to get these permits and get these guns. And that's the problem, because most people understand right from wrong and most people can do what's right and wrong. But again, it's like, look at the countries that are doing it well, and I think we're going to touch on this a little bit later. The UK, Australia, Germany, those are three of the big ones. They have Japan, they have excellent gun laws, and it's working there, and people are used to it. And it's just because the status quo, everyone's freaking out. Charlton Heston's very powerful. If you haven't seen the Charlton Heston speech, you can pry it from my cold, dead hand. He's talking about his gun and he holds up the rifle in the convention. Yeah. We've seen this. It's very powerful. Yeah. That's what they're in. So now we got to kick them out. How do you kick someone out that's...
Well, again, we're talking about America, and I don't know exactly America, all the details on how the laws work there.
Right, and it's different from state to state.
But one thing that I did hear is that, it's written in their constitution that you are allowed to raise arms against the government if you choose to. Look what happened with the with the rush to the Capitol or whatever, the takeover of the Capitol, right? And look at how many Trump supporters during the freaking before the elections and during the elections, they were walking around with fully automatic weapons and vests. They look like militia, bro. And not only that, and then you had the black opposition walking around with guns as well. It came to a point where I was like, dude, if these two parties ever have any beef, it's a civil war, man. It's a
civil war.
That's right. And you know what? They could justify by saying, hey, we have the right to raise arms
against the government.
Against the government, not
against each other.
Not against each other.
But the government, yeah.
But if in sense, if you're giving them the right to actually raise arms against anybody that are exposed to their ideal belief or their idealistic belief, right? So, for example, if we had that same thing here in Canada, and right now we disagreed, and a lot of Canadians disagree with how the government is running this whole pandemic, right?
Oh my God.
And we had the right to raise our arms. We would go to every city hall and show our anger by dressing up with bulletproof vests and guns and demanding that they change some of these rules, man. We don't have that. But yet, just in case, Trudeau was like, we got to get rid of some of these assault rifles. We got to get rid of some of these machine guns. Because don't doubt that in the back of his mind, he was thinking, shit, the people here in Canada have the right.
Oh, yeah.
They have the right.
Yeah.
And if they gather in large groups with their weapons that we have allowed them to own in their own premises, we're screwed, man. We're gonna be outnumbered.
Yeah.
you know. But again, comes down to the education. Canadians, the Canadian dream, which I grew up with, and you know, coming to Canada, and I grew up with in the first, you know, few 10 years or 5-10 years that I lived in Canada.
Okay.
Canadians had a dream, man, and Canadians were very passive, and most of them were really hippies, man. They were, and still today smoke a lot of weed, and weed makes them very passive and very peaceful people, you know. And not only that, but I sense the difference between Americans and Canadians, and all throughout my time that I've been here. For some, I don't know, for the sake of argument, I would say that Canadians are more educated when it comes to violence and dealing with resolving issues with weapons,
Okay.
or with war, or with, you know, a lot of Canadians, man, like,
You know, I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you, but I also think that things like population have a lot to do with it, because
yeah,
I've been looking at statistics, just population and over my life, of where it was when I was 20, where it was when I was 30. And from the time I was born to now, the population's pretty much doubled.
yeah,
And you think about the crime has more than doubled from the numbers in a lot of cases.
of course,
Of course. So if you put Canada into the same environment as America, and you had the same population density in all the cities in Canada that we have in America, I don't know that it would
Well,
be. We're much more educated. We're much
Yeah.
better people.
We
It
are.
sounds terrible to say, but on an individual basis, I think we got a higher education.
Yeah.
I think we're more compassionate. But then again, we don't have to deal with the same issues that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
And if we did on their level, we wouldn't be so nice.
well, obviously right now I don't want to mess up with the numbers, and
Yeah.
obviously the population, I think the population of the United States is over 300 million people or something like that. Yeah,
400 million, 300 million. Some
and
crazy
we are
number.
only 10% of that. Like, it's easier to control 37 million people than 300 million people.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, of
And
course,
look at
obviously.
the space we have.
Yeah, of course.
We can go for a walk.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't brush my teeth and look at my neighbor washing his balls through his window, because our kitchen windows, bathroom windows are side by side, and he
Yeah.
refuses to close his.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know, there's more conflict and friction in places that are overly populated. Like, you take cities like Toronto. I'm sure that there's more crime and more violence in Toronto.
I went to Toronto. I was scared. I was scared, man. I was driving around like, this ain't Vancouver, man.
No.
This is a
Different city.
concrete junction. Different vibe. Different. Whoa, like, it just, it was intense.
Yeah.
I remember.
And it's no secret that, you know, we talk about all the shootings in America, but we also have had a lot of shootings here in Canada.
That's what I'm saying.
You know,
the violence and stuff in Canada is the same.
I had a conversation, and this
smaller.
is anecdote that I have. I want to share it. I was in Mexico, and I just had arrived to Mexico after there was a shooting at this famous taco joint, right, in Playa del Carmen, and some tourists were in that restaurant, and luckily no tourists got killed, but there was one or two people that got shot. And obviously it was a turf war or some cartel attack on another cartel or whatever. But essentially, people were saying how dangerous Mexico was because there was all this gun violence and there was all these shootings happening and all that stuff. That being said, I've been to Mexico enough times that I've only heard of shootings in the Mayan Riviera maybe a few times.
Yeah.
Like no more than 6 or 7 times that I've heard of shootings, bro.
Yeah.
And this is going from like way back from 96 till 2019.
Right, and when you talk per capita and you talk about years, and
Right.
that's not that much.
So this particular lady that I was talking to, she was Canadian, and she was like saying, "Oh, well, these shootings don't happen in Canada." And I was like, "Where are you from?" And she goes like, "I'm from BC." And I go, "Don't you remember that only in 1 month, in December of, I think, I don't want to get the year wrong, but it was somewhere late or mid 2000s, where there was 20 shootings, bro. 20 shootings and about 30 people dead. Like, most of them happened in Surrey, but there was a lot of shootings in that month. And it wasn't just 1 month, but in that particular month, the shootings increased. But there was shootings throughout the shootings lasted almost 3 years. spread here and there and here and there.
Retaliation.
Yeah. And I was like,
I remember that there was some gang
and then all of a sudden there were some shootings in Winnipeg, some shootings in Halifax, some shootings like all over Canada.
And then we have the mass shootings, the school shootings, the guy dressed up like a cop. Our list goes on and on. We have the same.
So I said, you can't say that Canada doesn't have shootings, and she was like, oh, well, I wasn't aware of that. And I said, this is the problem. You need to educate yourself.
Right.
And if she's thinking like that, she's not talking about the reality of the world that we live in.
And the reality of the world we live in is you can't keep up. It's just constant. It's just like the birth and death toll of the planet. It's just brrr, except it's unluckily it's just rolling. It looks like the meter on your hydro. It's that last wheel that's just but it's just die. It's terrible. It's not good. And we need to do something about it. So I'd like to show them what we're talking about here.
You said that you asked a question about like how many states in the United States actually don't require a background check,
a police background check. Yeah.
But here it says federal law, which applies in all states, requires criminal background checks for all firearm sales and transfers by licensed dealers, but do not require background checks. By
licensed dealers.
And there's a lot of unlicensed dealers in the United States, bro.
So my point is, you can go to Walmart.
Yeah.
You can fill out the paperwork, they can process it, and a couple days they'll give you the gun. You do not have to physically, sorry about that, if you couldn't hear me, physically walk into a police station and get a background check.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like now, or any process of sales or transfers by unlicensed sellers. So there's all these expositions where they have gun expositions where people can actually go to these expositions. Well, probably not because of the pandemic. But you can go to these expos, these gun expos, and you can go buy secondhand guns, bro, that they're selling at their little kiosk or whatever, man. And anybody can. And they don't have a computer tied into a database right there at this little table where they have a plethora of guns, and machine guns. They're just like, okay, what do you want? Okay, well, here you go,
Wow.
So that's another thing.
Federal law, which applies in all states, require criminal background checks for all firearm sales and transfers by licensed dealers. Okay, so licensed dealers have to do that, but does not require background checks for any purpose for sales or transfers by unlicensed sellers.
And that's the problem.
So if you want to buy one gun, you got to if you're going to go buy a whole bunch of guns and say you're going to resell them, process of sales or transfers. Oh, I'm just going to transfer them. Oh, then you don't need oh my God. I can buy a case. I can buy a case of guns. Is that what that's saying? If that's right, that's scary.
I think you're right. So I mean, you also touch on another thing, and let's conclude this crazy topic about gun control. Obviously, we don't have an answer on how we can stop these heinous crimes against people and the shootings. But one thing that I wish, and I'll hear your opinion on it, is that people need to resolve their issues differently. You know what I mean? Like, we need to teach our kids that violence is not the answer. Like how many times have we learned that growing up, that we were in a conflict and we went and we retaliated and we got angry and we fought back. And sometimes we came out, winning the argument because we used our violence to beat up somebody. But how many other times did we come out of there dealing with the repercussions? And
every time,
right? So the thing is that you shouldn't resolve your issues or conflicts or problems with guns. But then how do we tell the whole world to stop doing that when, we have all this violence that is also in our faces when like countries go and invade other countries to resolve issues? You know what I mean? And then they justify it by saying, well, we're liberating the people. We're getting rid of a tyrant. We are killing a person that would have killed so many other people.
Right.
How do we do that? What's the solution? How can we tell our children not to do that without sounding hypocritical?
The short answer to that one is we can't. We are going to be hypocrites. And we're hypocrites every day because I have kids, and I tell my kids all the time, right and wrong, and you don't do this, and you don't hit, and you get upset, and you just deal with it, and you move on, and whatever it may be for that situation and anger. Yet, put myself in that situation. I'm a grown-up. Yeah. I handle it. But at some point, you don't handle it. At some point, you snap. At some point, I get mad at the dog for eating food on the floor, and I'm like, he's a dog. And it's a juicy hot dog, and he's got a bowl of dried food over there. And I'm like, Jersey! God damn it, Jersey! And it's like, why am I mad at the dog?
Yeah.
Why am I letting my frustration... So it's like, if I'm a good person, and I'm not saying I'm a good person, but I'm saying I'm a good person. I have a good heart. I care for my fellow man. I try to do the right thing. I've learned from my mistakes early on. So I'm at a good point in my life. If I can snap, if I can lose it, if I can have a moment, like I'll be driving, I'm not in a hurry. If you cut me off badly, instant rage.
Yeah, road rage. And there
instant rage.
In America, there've been shootings because of road rage, you know?
And the other one that I wanted to talk about, instant rage, but for a second, is also the flip side of that. Driving fast. Mm-hmm. Getting your adrenaline. Adrenaline is a scary drug.
Oh, yeah.
You may just do a move to get to a whatever, and you get a rush from that. Woo.
Makes you feel alive.
It makes you feel alive. Well, then you take that next corner a little fast, and then you go up that next street. Yeah. You just needed to do one or two maneuvers, and now you've sped the second half of your journey to your destination for no apparent reason other than you don't realize it. You're addicted to that.
That's right.
To that adrenaline. Right. So you got adrenaline flowing through, you got fear flowing through, you got anger flowing. You take any good person, and there's lots of them out there that snap.
That's right.
And go and shoot people.
That's right.
And kill people. That gentleman was in an argument with his neighbors, went into his house, got his rifle, came out and shot them both. I saw the video of it. It's horrific.
Yeah.
This is my problem with gun control. It's like...
And then you got cops doing it too.
And the cops are just abusing their power. Yeah. We saw
a video
of a gentleman who shot this guy in the hall because he followed his protocol. I think the video was horrible. I think he got charged with second-degree murder. He lost his job.
Yeah.
That was reassuring, but yet the police and all the people that investigated deemed that he had followed protocol. He told the gentleman, we watched it 3 or 4 times, not to put his hands behind his back again because he was going to shoot him because they don't know if he's got a gun and he's just trying to get closer. That's the way that these guys are trained. Well, here's something that they can't take into account. And then I said to Alex instantly, he was jacked with fear and adrenaline, and he's trying to listen. He's like, what? Oh, man. And he did this a couple times. Yeah. And they're like, don't put your hand behind your back.
You do it one more time, we're going to shoot you.
Do it one more time. Yeah. And he got down on the ground, and I didn't catch it the first time I seen the video, and he did one more time.
Well, they asked him to crawl towards them.
Crawl, and put your hands up in the air. Don't lower them.
Yeah.
Lay down on your face and crawl. Well, guess what? That's a moving your hand motion. Yeah. And he did one crawl, but then he did that. And they shot this guy and they killed him.
To me, what it seemed like that, when you crawl, your knee gets stuck to the carpet floor, right? So it seemed like his pants were falling off. So he went to reach to the back
instinctively to do something that you would do instinctively.
That's right.
And that is right. That's a valid point, right there. We're both overthinkers. We've analyzed the shit out of this situation. I think, because I've been in some pressure situations, we both have, you don't react the way you think you would react because it is not a normal situation. This gentleman right here, are we going to show this?
I don't know if we should. It's
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we should show it.
You've already explained
it. But I've explained it. He was going up and he's going down.
People can look it up.
And nobody's talking about how is he feeling? Yeah. His adrenaline is flowing. These guys have got guns. And they shot him and killed him.
And so was the adrenaline flowing on
the officers.
On the officer. Because we know how adrenaline works because we're both
I got it going right now, by the way.
Players.
I'm so adamant and this pain and suffering is
caught. And we know that when adrenaline hits, you're not thinking rationally, you're thinking instinctively, and then you can say something and you forgot you said it because your adrenaline is pumping so hard. And there was one point where the police officer is telling him, "Stay still, don't move." But then he says, "Okay, now put your arms up in the air." And it's like, dude, you just told him not to move.
And that's what I saw the first time. He contradicts his own instructions.
If you move, we're gonna shoot you. It's like, well, you just told me. You know what? Just tell the fucking guy.
You can't tell. Shut up.
Yeah.
He's confused.
Put your hands behind your back, lay it flat, and stay there. Don't move. And then walk on him like gently or carefully or whatever.
All they needed to do was say, lay down, put your hands out in front of you. Don't move.
Don't move. Stay
and
there.
And we'll walk to you.
Exactly.
Why he told him to crawl. But again, he's in a pressure situation. It's no more training. This is for real. And guess what? Just like in training, if the guy goes for a gun, you put him down.
That's right.
And I don't want to put you down. I've told you 3 times to stop putting your hand behind you. Do you fucking understand me?
Right.
And the guy says yes. And then he gives him conflicting information. Put your hands up. Now come towards me. You told me not to move. You told me to put. Oh, I'm just getting mad right now.
All right. Well, if you're ever in a situation like that, you know, just make sure you calm the fuck down. Unless you're not on drugs or whatever, calm down, or drunk. Calm down and realize that these motherfuckers can actually inflict major harm and pain and injury into your body or to yourself because they're carrying a weapon that could put a hole this big in you or whatever this big that can make, even a 22 this small can make you bleed out. And I'll leave this comment, I'll leave this whole episode with something that may be of a funny story, but it was a very serious and intense story. Okay. When I was in North Van, you know, with my buddies in my car, you know, my buddies were smoking some weed, and I guess somebody reported that there was these young teenagers or whatever driving a car around, you know, listening to music and smoking weed, right? Mm-hmm. So the cops pulled us over, and all of a sudden 5 police officers or police cars surrounded us. Okay. And obviously, I'm not gonna lie, you know, I got the effects of the hot box that was going on in my car. I didn't smoke at the time, but the smoke was making me high. And then guess what? I got the munchies. So what did I have beside me? I had a bag of chocolate chip cookies.
Bro. Oh, okay.
Okay. So I grabbed the chocolate chip cookies and I was eating them while I was driving. So I was like eating them and driving. So when we got pulled over, I had the bag in my lap.
Okay. So
the cop, when he pulled me, he's like, "What do you got there?" He immediately pulled out his gun, radioed back up. All these cars surrounded us, and I was like, chocolate chip cookies, man." All of a sudden they were like, "Put your hands against the ceiling," right? And I was like, "Duh," right? And they were like, "Reach for that bag that's in your lap and pull and throw it out." I was like, "I ain't reaching for the chocolate chip cookies, man. You come and get it." And they're like, "No, what's in the bag?" I go, "Chocolate chip cookies," right?
Yeah.
Bro, I was like, I ain't moving. I ain't moving,
exactly.
Bro. No, I ain't moving. I stayed like this until they came and got me. I can be there all night.
Exactly.
And you know what? I'm not gonna die for chocolate chip cookies, man.
No,
fuck that shit.
And you know what the funny thing is? If you just say, "I'm not moving my hands. I'm not moving. I'm not moving." Yeah. You got a gun on me. I'm not moving. Yeah. My hands are staying on the ceiling. You will comply. I will fucking not. You will come here and see that I have cookies in my lap. Just stand your ground and don't move. My ground.
You know what happened?
Don't move.
You know what happened, bro? They told me, "Well, exit the car." And I go, "Okay." So I exit the car like this, bro. And I'm like, "How am I going to exit?" Like, hold on. How am I going to open the door? I go, "Can you guys come and open the door?" You know?
Exactly.
So this police officer, female police officer, I could see her from the corner of my eye, right? Yeah. Peripheral vision. She was just laughing, bro, because she was smiling. Because she's like, "Come on, this guy's not harmed. He's not a harmful person.
He's got cookies, man.
He's got fucking cookies. He's telling you that he's got cookies. Stop overreacting, you fat piece of shit." Right. You know what I mean?
Oh, I hate those cops.
And so I was like this, and I go, "Well, can somebody open the door?" And so she's like, "I'll go." Out of all the men, of all the male police officers, bro, this female police officer came to the door and opened the door for me, and the whole time she was just smiling at me. She's like, "Okay," even winked at me, and I came out and I was like, "Okay, I'm safe now." And I came out like this, bro. Like this, and the fucking cookies fell into the ground. The fucking guys came over. They searched me. They put me on the hood of the car. They took everybody out, and they're like, "Okay, well, didn't find anything."
And how acceptable is it? Not take every story. How many times has that happened to you? How many times have you been put on the car for no random reason other than you're a minority? I've been taken out of the car and put on the car and had them check the car probably 10 times in my life.
For sure, yeah. I would say about 10. Yeah,
right?
For sure.
And for no other reason.
Stupid.
And
that's the thing. These guys are also like don't get it wrong. They're, you know, and I don't want to get too much into talking about these cops, but they're you know, itching, bro. They're itching to shoot.
And let's generalize. Let's not generalize.
Yeah, let's not generalize. Not every
most of
cop.
Exactly. They're just like people talk about a few bad apples. There is a few bad apples
Yeah.
in the police department, and Chris Rock said it best. There's certain jobs that shouldn't have bad apples.
That's right.
And the police department and airline pilots, I think he said, are the two ones that
That's
stuck
right.
out in his
That's
mind.
right.
That's right. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he's right.
Shit. Yeah.
Like, police officers should not have bad apples, and there are. So the majority of them are doing an amazing job. I had one pull me over the other night, and
Yeah.
he was so friggin' nice to me.
Yeah.
And I complied, and he was nice, and he was courteous, and for a second I thought I was going to get one of those gift cards that they give guys every now and then for being so compliant. But they do a thankless job. Let's end this on a positive note. We both agree with gun control.
Yeah.
We hope that they change the laws soon. We think that if you have a reasonable gun, that you are allowed to keep it and use it in a respectful manner. But they got to change the laws, man. They got to change the laws.
And you know what? Educate yourselves. Teach your children that violence is not the resolution to things or the solution to things. Sorry.
Yes.
People, stay positive. We have a site that we looked at of all the history of or the list of all the shootings that have been happening, throughout the months of April all the way.
This is just this year, folks.
This is just here in America. I mean,
look at these numbers. That's a
all
lot.
the way to January. So if you Google or
go back to the top. What are the numbers for the whole time? Go back to the top.
all the way to the top in April.
Let's see keep going. Does it show a
No,
total?
that's a lot of shootings, man. But you see, you can go into Wikipedia and just put list of mass shootings in the United States in 2020 and look at the map.
Look at the map. That's in 2021, folks.
Yeah, 2021. So stay safe, people.
Maybe
Be good.
Maybe move to Idaho if you don't want to get shot.
The closer you get to Canada, the safer you are.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
We're out.
Be good.
Peace.
Love you. Thanks.
And my hat just got tangled. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, to hit the subscribe button. And this is another episode of The Mind Behind the Curtain.
Mind behind the curtain.